Thanks for fun. I hope you guys are having a great day. Well, I got some good news and some bad news. Good news is we're going on a little adventure this morning. Bad news is no hanging, no hammocking on this trip. I promise I've got some hammocking trips planned out in the woods, and I've already done a couple. I'm working on them in post right now. So as soon as I get those done, I'll post them and get them out to you guys. This morning I'm just going to a lake nearby to do a quick experiment. You want to come? Phew. Man, is it dark. Oh, hang on. So it's pretty early in the morning. I didn't have time to make my coffee or my breakfast, but I always have a little emergency kit in my pack. So I think we'll just go ahead and make coffee and some scrambled eggs or something at the location. So before it gets too much long in the morning, let's get going. I've got a little bit of a drive, and we need to get set up and get breakfast, and gotta get that coffee in me. Woo! It's below freezing with a constant wind. It's mornings like this that would be easy to stay inside. But this dark, cold morning has me curious about experimenting with a new landscaping photography technique with my Sony a7R3. The benefits of focus stacking your images to get more depth of field are well known, as are the benefits of long exposure photography to smooth out objects like clouds and waterfalls, show movement, and help make water more mirror-like. However, I like to combine these two techniques. This combination can be extra difficult because between focusing changes, you have to remove your ND filters to focus. So today, I wanted to test a theory of mine. Could I use Sony's new touch focus capabilities to do the focusing changes and not have to remove the ND filters each time, resulting in less camera movement? My guess is no, but let's find out. All right, I'm on location. The only problem is I just checked PhotoPills, and this is more of a sunset spot. I should have come over here and scouted it earlier, and I would have found out that the sunset's over there. But we can go still get a shot. I see some mist on the water over there, so we'll see what we can find over there.
Hello again, as every ocean come as rain.
Running out of time, we've got to get over in position if I'm going to get anything. It's beautiful over here though.
Another sequel is on the way.
There's a lovely little mist top of the water this morning, so hopefully we can salvage something out of this. There, we can just start seeing something over there. I don't know if I want that in the shot.
Hello, my borders. Hello again. You're out of order. I'm out of pain. We're closing circles. We got no end. Another sequel about to land. Oh, oh.
Been doing a test to see if we could get the new a7R3's touch focus and use it with focus stacking on long exposure with ND filters. And it actually kind of worked with a 3-stop ND filter. However, 6, it kind of starts, depending on how dark it is. Right now it's actually working fairly good with the 6-stop even. But I suspect the darker the situation, the less it's gonna work, obviously. So I've gone back to trying to get a decent long exposure focus stack the old-fashioned way. And what I'm doing is I first focus in on the subject in the foreground, and I take my long exposure shot, and then I just do the manual focus ring all the way to infinity, which gets me my stuff further away in focus. And then later in post, I'll go ahead and layer up the two and expose some of this stuff up in the front a little bit. Then I bring some more clarity into the overall picture. So let me show you the settings real quick. One thing I will definitely note that has changed quite a bit. I don't know if you can see, but that's the sun right there. And this is the back of the a7R3. And I can totally see what's on the screen. That's a huge change. Could not do that on the a7R2, cannot do that on my a6500. So I was trying to do the touch focusing trick so that I didn't have to pull the old filters out, reset focus, slide the filters back in and change the camera, move the camera much. So this time around, tried doing it, and it actually is working right now, but I have a feeling that's because the lighting is so good. And I've been able to step down to a 13-second exposure, as you can see. When I was first starting this morning, I was in about 32 seconds in bulb mode to get the proper exposure with a 6-stop ND filter. So what I'm doing is the very first shot, I go ahead and I manually focus on the foreground, and you can see that log just in the water, and you can see the grass here right on the edge. I try to make sure that stuff is especially really close to the camera, really in focus. And I set that up and then take the shot. And then as soon as that's done, without having to do anything, I reach up and I do the focus ring to infinity, let the camera settle again, and then take the second shot. Later in post, I'll blend the two and I'll use some of the more in focus foreground to make the image better. My theory of the touch focus, I fell flat once you go up to about a 10 stop. I don't think there's too many situations where that touch focus is gonna work. So either you'll have to, like in this case, it's a very simple example. There's just 2 layers. What's in the foreground and the back. But it's not too far away here to the other side of the water. I don't know, maybe 100 foot, 150 foot. So if you're doing a big photo that had a lot more distance and a lot more interest points, you might have 3, 4 focus points that you want to get well focused in for a high quality image. And I'm kind of thinking that you're going to be out of luck with the touch focus. At least on an ND 10. You might get away with it on a 6. It works for sure on an ND 3-stop. And even then, as you can see, I am not in good conditions right here. I had to revert to my 3K Joby tripod, which I wouldn't even use the word stability at all with that guy. So I'm just doing the best I can. Essentially, it's still about 28 degrees here, and my hands have they're just not working right. And I could not for the life of me make my main tripod, do what I wanted to do to get me inches off the ground. So just to get this test done, I went ahead and reverted to my Joby 3K, which I always carry with me. So I had that good backup. I would not trust this kind of a tripod for any kind of high quality photo. but I'm hoping that it'll make the point here. I'm just trying to go through the motions of using the ND filter system with the focus stacking and see which technique seems to work. Is this going to be a portfolio picture? Nope. It's just a quick test. You know, nothing fancy. Sorry about the shakiness. I'm trying to figure out how to best film showing how to do the settings. But as you can see, I'm at 10 seconds, f11. On this 16-35 G Master lens, from what I saw on DXOMark, the sweet spot's right around 24 millimeters, so I'm trying to run where it's the sweetest. And then I'm at ISO 100, which I always try to be on these landscape shots. So, and on this first one, I've got the AEL set up as zoom in to help me do focusing. The other thing I like about this is you can easily move around and get something you want to be in focus. Okay, so now we have the foreground in focus, and I'm going to go ahead and initiate the 10-second exposure. Even though I'm using a remote, I still have a delay set up on it, and I try not to move the remote when this part's happening. And now, before we go any further, let's go ahead and try to make this a 3 focus exposure. So let's focus in on the log this time. Ah, my hands are so cold. And you notice it's not quite infinity. So this is a good test. This will be 3 layers. Sorry, I'm trying to let you see, but I also need to see myself, and I would much rather be actually looking right at the camera's viewfinder, but oh well. Right there, I think. Yeah. So now we're focusing on the log, and then next we're going to do an infinity shot. All right, so let's hit our zoom in. Don't even really need to do any zooming in on this because obviously we're just going to infinity. Now you can just do this long exposure shot. In infinity focus, and it will look good. But the more you want to really introduce clear, sharp focus foreground, the more you want to do focus stacking. It's important to get out and play with your gear, you know? What good is gear that just sits on your counter and doesn't do anything? And you know, I enjoy getting out here, but whoo, is it cold out here today. And good thing it's not snowing, or you know, the conditions aren't too bad that it's enjoyable. It's cold and my fingers aren't working like normal. So, but I think we can draw the right conclusions here. I'll go back and post and see what we ended up with. I did a couple variations, and I think it'll make the point.
After aligning and layering these 3 long exposure photos in Photoshop, I was able to blend together a single image that was in focus from the foreground to the background. Here I highlighted the 3 layer masks in Photoshop, showing the foreground, the midground, and the background. They represent the areas that were focused on in the shot and exposed in Photoshop to make a single image. Zooming way in on the foreground layer, it becomes clearer how cold it was that morning, as you can make out individual frost crystals on the blades of grass. Part of the story that morning was the frost and its fight against the warmth from the sunrise. Not having a foreground focus would have left out that part of the story. as neither the mid or background layers showed any frost detail. Zooming in on the midground layer, we see details in the log. Is it a Loch Ness monster, a crocodile or gator, or perhaps some combination of the two? Printed out in 13 by 19, this photo has a ton of detail that gets you to focus on the log. Perhaps it is the foreground grass that points you towards it, or maybe even the sun rays or contrails that all seem to lead you to the log, inviting you to explore the details. Zooming in on the background layer, the long exposure helps complete the story, preserving the fine mist that was hovering just above the water, smoothing out the contrail's harsh, choppy edges, and giving a slight movement to the tree branches, help lock away details of subtle movement. This photo was composed to demonstrate the technique and clearly show the different focus layers. Now it is time for some breakfast and coffee before I get back on the road. Let's give these eggs a look. I just like to shake them and stir them.
Martini, shaken, not stirred.
Bacon bits in there and everything. Yummy. Can I wait to eat this? I'm starving. Man, it doesn't help that I was up until probably 2 or 3 or so in the morning. I kind of thought of this trip at the last minute. Wanted to make sure I had everything in a row. The a7R3, I don't have as much time with it as I did with the a7R2. It's fairly similar, but the test I was wanting to do today was specific to the Mark III, so wanted to make sure that I was ready to do the right test, so I had to do some mock-ups last night, and by the time I got to sleep and then had to get up at 4:30, 4:45. Hope that wind isn't too bad on the mic. It's really hitting me hard in the face, so I apologize. All right, we should be done now. What I did is I went with the Pro Pack Mountain House freeze-dried scrambled eggs with bacon. Hopefully you can see that. Another couple minutes, we should be able to eat, get out of here. Let's see here. Oh yeah. Piping hot scrambled eggs and bacon. Have to come back out here for the sunset. Check it out. All right, I'm gonna finish my eggs and bacon and my coffee. I'm gonna pack up. I'm gonna back to the studio. I need to get the, see how we did on our little experiment this morning. Hangs for fun, signing off. Remember, hang your own hang, and as always, happy hanging.
As I was going over that fair famed Kerry Mountain, I met with Captain Farrell and his money he was counting. I first produced my pistol and then produced my rapier. Said stand and deliver, for I am a bold deceiver. Bushering dum-a-doo dum-a-da. Whack for the daddy-o, whack for the daddy-o. There's whiskey in the jar. I counted out me money and it made a pretty penny. I put it in me pocket and I took it home to Jenny. She said and she swore she would never deceive me, but the devil take those women, for they never can be easy. Mushering dum-a-doo dum-a-da. Whack for the daddy-o.
That's it. I ain't got no more.